cae 2 horas, ¿eh?
Ah, your return. So is there more to report to me, mademoiselle?
Vale, tenemos aquí 30 segundos. Voy a beber agua.
And that is everything I have discovered so far.
We progress, mademoiselle. Let us see what we can learn.
Greta Olsen was Daisy Armstrong's nurse.
This may explain the zeal with which she cares for her young charges at her mission, and why she never had any children of her own. Mademoiselle Marceau, you will recall my observation to you of the many classes and nationalities one meets when traveling.
Yes, of course.
Try to imagine whether such an assembly would ever likely to be collected under any other conditions.
En un crucero transoceánico en Estados Unidos. En Estados Unidos.
In America?
Oui, the great melting pan of America.
Melting pot.
This is the answer I made to myself as well. Only in America you might find a household composed of such varied nationalities. And what do we discover here? Such a household has recreated itself aboard this train. A household damaged almost beyond recovery 10 years ago by the man Ratchet. And so we near the end of at least one journey. Please to assemble our fellow passengers in the salon car. Oh, and please also to send for Michel and Dr. Constantine. I will need their assistance to convey me to the salon car.
You will present your solution?
I will offer 3 solutions. You, mademoiselle, will decide which of them will best serve justice.
Ahí va. 3 soluciones.
Eh bien, monsieur. We have before us a most delicate operation. Transferring the person of Poirot to the salon car, where the suspects, they are all assembled. Poirot is ready for the ordeal.
Pero tan dura prueba, venga, hombre. Si tienes un esguince, tío.
Marche!
Qué tontos.
Mon Dieu, take care.
Mon Dieu.
Beware of Greeks bearing gifts.
Vale, pues entonces estamos aquí.
Mesdames et messieurs, there are 3 possible solutions of this case. There is the solution concocted for the benefit of the Yugoslavian police, who were expected to take up the investigation. A little play that was then embellished with several improvisations. When I, Hercule Poirot, unexpectedly appeared on the stage. And then there is a solution that reveals the most careful plotting of a truly brilliant mastermind. And yet there is also a third, one of which I think even now that mastermind, in this carriage with us as I speak, has no knowledge. With the help of Mademoiselle Marceau, my able assistant, you see Poirot, he is also able to improvise, huh? I shall put all 3 solutions before you, and I shall ask Mademoiselle Marceau and the eminent Dr. Constantine here to judge which solution is the right one.
Anda, mira.
Mademoiselle, are you ready to proceed?
Oui, monsieur.
Eh bien, we commence. Monsieur Ratchet had received the threats from an unknown enemy. Mademoiselle Marceau?
Oh, qué guapo. ¿Y no puedo guardar aquí? Necesito un momento para tomar la decisión. Carta amenazadora, carta rota, segunda carta amenazadora, confesión de Ratchet.
I need a moment to decide.
Time is of the essence, mademoiselle. Pray do not take too long.
Vale, a ver si puedo... Ah, bien, puedo guardar aquí. Quiero guardarlo. ¿Sabéis qué pasa? Que... Bueno, vamos a ver qué final nos sale. y dependiendo del final que nos salga, pues lo mismo, esta parte la rejuego diferente para ver si hay otro final. Si es fácil sacar los otros dos, me refiero. Carta amenazadora, carta rota. Vale, vamos a ver. Aquí...
The tone of these letters suggests an enmity born in the American underworld, of which Monsieur Ratchet was once a part. A former colleague in one of his kidnapping schemes? Who knows? We have the evidence of a detective Monsieur Ratchet hired to protect him.
El detective Héctor McQueen, que finge ser secretario. No, el detective se llama Cyrus Herman, que se presenta como vendedor de cintas para máquina de escribir. Y ves Masterman, que se presenta como criado.
The detective is Cyrus Hardman, posing as a salesman of typewriter ribbons.
The evidence of Monsieur Hardman, who is indeed a detective hired to protect Monsieur Ratchet, gives to us a description of a small, dark man with a womanish voice. Except for the voice, this description would only fit 2 men on this train.
Mateo, el asistente del coche, y el doctor Constantine. Klaus, el chef de club de cuisine, y Lucien, el camarero. Mateo. Constantine.
Mateo, the Athens-Paris coach attendant, and Dr. Constantine.
Yet Monsieur Hardman's vigilance during the night shows that no one could have passed from the Athens-Paris coach to the Calais coach without his seeing them. So anyone in that coach must be exonerated.
Muy bien.
The enemy actually came aboard the train at Belgrade one of 2 ways.
A través de la puerta izquierda que Monsieur McQueen dejó abierta. O a través de la puerta del coche restaurante con la ayuda de Pierre Michel. Pues ostras, ahora ya sí que ya la cosa se pone complicada, porque puede ser o este o esta. Claro, aquí a través de la puerta del coche restaurante con la ayuda de permisar, esto significa que lo haces queriendo, pero esta es la puerta izquierda de Monsieur McQueen dejó abierta. Claro, si la deja abierta es que bueno, supuestamente según lo que él dijo, lo había hecho sin querer.
Through the door left unbolted by Monsieur McQueen.
This enemy was disguised, leaving behind a button in Madame Hubbard's room when he used her connecting door. Mademoiselle, the disguise?
Uniforme de asistente. Guantes de fogonero. ¡Ostras, tío, qué guapo! El sombrero de Rachet. Claro, esto.
A passkey was found in the pocket of this uniform, giving the murderer access to Ratchet's room. Ratchet was under the influence of a dose of his sleeping draught, light enough to wake him, but strong enough to prevent him from struggling as the killer left through the connecting door.
Héctor McQueen confundió la dosis del somnífero. No, Masterman.
Masterman confirmed the dosage of the sleeping draft.
Oui, he did. Well, the murder weapon is obvious. Mademoiselle?
El estilete. ¿Estilete o cuchillo carnicero? Yo creo que es el estilete, pero bueno.
It is a stiletto, the type of knife carried by the criminal type in America called the mafiosi.
¿Sí?
The killer planned to leave the train at the next station after committing his crime. Show to them the evidence supporting this, mademoiselle.
Carta locuaz. No puedo entrar a ver las cartas. Qué bueno. Carta tal, plano del tren. Pues o es este o es este. Plano del tren. Carta rota.
Exact. The avalanche prevented him from reaching Broad. Even so, he went through with the crime and then hid himself.
Se ocultó en el coche de equipajes en el cajón de Ratchet. El asesino se ocultó... Se ocultó en el coche de equipajes en el cajón de
The
Ratchet.
killer hid in the baggage car inside Ratchet's crate.
Please do not embarrass us both. Choose another.
No. Se ocultó en un compartimento vacío del coche Atenas, París. Se ocultó en la cabaña de paseo de la montaña.
The killer hid in a shepherd's hut on the mountain.
At first, in the Athens-Paris coach. And then later, it is in the hut. Mademoiselle found the uniform and the stiletto. But the killer had fled. He may have escaped down the mountain, or he may have come to his just reward somewhere out there in the snow. I think you will agree that we had followed the trail as easily as if we were tracking the footprints in the snow. Well, it is plausible. It certainly fits the most obvious set of facts. I applaud the mastermind who hides behind such an innocent face.
Se ajustó a los
The
hechos.
second solution asked more of the little Gressels. Not only of Poirot, but those of Mademoiselle Marceau and Dr. Constantine as well. It was hidden most carefully. The unlikely accident of a means of communicating with the outside world, a part filled most ably by my dear friend Barnaby, made the truth, or at least part of it, easier to uncover. But I flatter myself that enough clues were found right here on this train that such communications were almost always but collaborations of conclusions that I had already reached. So, mademoiselle, we will begin again.
Ah, qué bueno, tío.
First, I will speak to you of time. When did Monsieur Ratchet meet his end? I suspect Mademoiselle Marceau has the theory.
Qué chulo, tío. Ahora resulta que las soluciones, yo pensaba que las soluciones las íbamos a sacar, ahora terminaba con esta primera solución en la que alguien ha entrado, ha salido y se ha ido corriendo y se ha muerto por el camino, ¿no? O sea, un extraño ha entrado en Belgrado y al intentar que nadie lo viese, pues ha salido en medio de la tempestad de nieve y posiblemente se muera. Esa es la primera solución y dice que es la más verosímil, la más lógica, ¿no? Pensar que ha venido alguien y se ha cargado a este tío porque sí. Pero, claro, ahora vamos con la segunda. Yo pensaba que se iban a sacar por separado. Terminábamos, eran finales distintos, pero no, son soluciones distintas. Y las vamos a ver todas de un tirón. A las 10:40 de la noche. Justo antes de las 12:37 de la noche. A la 1:15 de la madrugada, antes de las 10:40 de la noche, después de la 1:15 de la madrugada. Pues estoy perdido. Pero me suena algo, eso de la 1:15 me suena, y eso también. No sé si es a la 1:15 o después, antes de las 10:40. Ah, esto no es así. Entre la 1 y 12 me parece que era, la 1 y 12. Pero bueno, pega 1 y 12 y 1:15, pega bastante. Lo que vamos a hacer es guardar.
I need a moment to decide.
Time is of the essence, mademoiselle. Pray do not take too long.
Claro, porque es que ahora me deja mirar. Mira, supuestamente era a las 12:30, a las 12:37, dice je me suis trompé. Pero, ¿Rachet hablaba francés? No. No puede ser que esto lo haya dicho Rachet, porque McQueen dijo que él era el que hacía de traductor, porque sabía alemán, italiano y francés. Así que esto no lo dijo Ratchet. Ratchet estaba vivo. Estaba muerto antes de esa hora. O estaba muerto ya. Parece, para esto ya tenía que estar muerto. Entonces puede ser que sea antes de las 12. Greta es la última persona que ve vivo a Ratchet a las 10:40. con Mateo. Hora en el reloj roto del bolsillo de Ratchet. La teoría. Yo creo que lo del reloj roto lo manipularon, ¿sabéis? Yo creo que lo han manipulado el reloj. Yo creo que lo han manipulado. Bueno, vamos a hacer una cosa. Vamos a guardar. Me va a molar porque voy a tener aquí los 3 finales. Yo 19. Vale, reanudar. Volvemos a lo mismo. Yo creo que es antes de las 12:30. Bueno, a las 12:30 es la avalancha. Pudiera ser que en el momento después de la avalancha suena el timbre de Ratchet. Ratchet dice Sener bien, je me suis trompé. ¿Me he caído o algo así o qué? No sé. Trompé, no sé qué significa. Caerse. Rival, ve al asistente, no Michelle. Vale, pues vamos a ver qué opciones tenemos. 1 menos cuarto. O decir la 1:15, que es la hora que pone en el bolsillo. A las 10:40 de la noche, justo antes de las 12:37 de la noche. Es que está ahí. La 1:15 de la madrugada, antes de las 10:40, después de la 1:15.
Shortly before 12:37 a.m. It could not have been Ratchet who called out to Michelle in French. He didn't speak French.
Let us examine each possibility in turn. 10:40 p.m. or earlier? No. I think not. Mademoiselle Olsen spoke to Ratchet from the doorway at 10:40 p.m., but she never went inside. It conjures the image most bizarre of her throwing a knife at him 12 times from the doorway. And how does she retrieve it? Is there string attached to the handle? No. No, that is a solution of a most lurid sort. 12:37 a.m.? A more interesting possibility. Monsieur McQueen states that Ratchet spoke no languages other than English, and yet the voice answered Michelle in French. Still, I think this was simply a performance for the benefit of Poirot.
Era eso.
One of the little improvisations. I was meant to see through it and say, no. Monsieur Ratchet, he was already dead by 12:37. He could not have cried out.
The broken watch said 1:15.
Oui, it did. And it fits with the time of Madame Hubbard's visitor. Now I digress for the reminiscence. I observed to Mademoiselle Marceau that one meets many classes and nationalities when traveling aboard the Express. I asked her to imagine whether such an assembly would ever likely to be collected under any other conditions. And Mademoiselle, what was your reply?
In America.
C'est ça. Only in America will you find a household composed of so many nationalities. Look about you. As our investigation progressed, it became clear that 9 passengers on this train are connected in some way to the Armstrong kidnapping. Who have we connected to that case,
Qué guapo, tío. Muy bien. A la condesa.
Countess Andrenyi. Colonel Arbuthnot. Mary Debenham. Princess Dragomirov. Hector McQueen. Antonio Foscarelli. Edward Masterman.
Greta Olson.
Greta Olson.
Esta fue la cocinera.
Hildegard Schmidt.
Caroline Hubbard.
Cyrus Hardman.
Mademoiselle, I realize you have many clues to recall, but this one should be obvious.
Harman, ¿no?
Caroline Hubbard.
No, mademoiselle. Try again, please.
Count Andrenyi.
Please do not embarrass us both.
Pierre Michel.
Use the little
Ahí va, ninguno de los anteriores.
None of the above.
Précisément. These four alone, amongst the occupants of the Calais coach, would appear to have no direct connection with the Armstrong case. Yet I was struck by the curious coincidence that everyone in the Calais coach had an alibi. And these alibis are sometimes corroborated even by those not connected to the Armstrong affair. One of you stated to Mademoiselle Marceau that while Monsieur Ratchet got what he deserved, you would have preferred to see him properly hanged. The trial by jury is a sound system. Who said that, mademoiselle?
Colonel Arbuthnot.
Just so. Colonel Arbuthnot. Now that struck a chord with Poirot. I sat back and thought, a jury is composed of 12 people. There are 12 passengers in the Calais coach, discounting myself and Mademoiselle Marceau. Ratchet, he was stabbed 12 times. And the reason the Calais coach was filled in the middle of the winter was explained. All, I repeat, all of the passengers were in on it. They had to be. No alibi could be left to the whim of a stranger. Did this solution explain everything? Let us see. What were the clues that pointed to the first solution, mademoiselle?
A la primera.
The threatening letters.
Mademoiselle, I realize you have many clues to recall, but...
All of these clues agree with the first solution.
Wait, and now of course my attention focused on Monsieur Hartmann, for he, the apparent outsider, had provided a key element in this artificial solution of an unknown enemy. How to explain his complicity? And then I remembered that Mademoiselle Marceau had told to me 2 suggestive moments during 2 different interviews with Monsieur Hartmann.
Cuando me pidió que buscara un mosaico de... Cuando mencionó que la nieve era brillante. Cuando me pidió disculpas. Cuando me proporcionó la llave de la sala de seguridad del coche de equipaje.
When he gave me the key to the security room in the baggage car.
Use the little Gressel.
Vale.
When he apologized to me.
Mademoiselle, I real...
Vale.
When he asked me to find a Kataya tile.
Please do not embarrass us.
When he said the snow was bright.
May we? The snow has not been very bright today. The sky, it is overcast. And in his apology, he mentions his fondness for French girls. Countess Andrenier told us that the nursemaid, she was French. Her name was Suzanne. Our young friend Barnaby Lewis confirms via the ham radio that her full name was Suzanne Ferrier, and that she was born near Paris. So, it is not so much a leap, I think, to wonder if perhaps the man from New York and the French girl working there might not have formed the attachment.
I've been a detective for almost 20 years, Monsieur Poirot, but I'm in admiration of you. Yeah, Suzanne and I were going to ask her uncle if we could get hitched.
Ostras.
He was her guardian. And the kidnapping and everything. It was too much for her.
Her uncle, monsieur? And his name?
Oh, jeez. I can't say I remember.
A detective for almost 20 years? And you never even knew the name of your fiancé's guardian?
No. Probably got it written down somewhere back in New York.
Enough of this foolishness. I can guess his name right now, and so I expect can Mademoiselle Marceau.
Monsieur Ferrier, Pierre Michel. El tío. Monsieur Ferrier. Pierre Michel no puede ser. Lucien tampoco. Estos son para Monsieur Ferrier.
Monsieur Ferrier.
The picture in your valise, it is that of you, your sister, and her daughter Suzanne?
Oui, monsieur. After my sister and her husband died in a car crash, I raised Suzanne as my own child.
¡Ostras!
And so, that leaves only one.
Pierre
Me?
Michel.
If the attendant is one of your killers, Mr. Poirot, that makes you 12. You don't need me.
No, madame. I have come to the odd conclusion that the person who has taken no part in the crime is the one who would be considered most likely to do so. I refer to Countess Andranier. Her husband swore on his honor she did not leave her room last night. A count from a noble family? A rising young star in the Hungarian diplomatic service? Such a man does not swear upon his honor lightly. No, it is much more probable that he tells the truth. And it is the devoted husband who, so to speak, takes his wife's place. So you see, madame, we are back to 11 without you.
Well, I never. Wait until my daughter hears about this.
Why not tell her now? She is sitting there right beside you, Madame Adam. You are the instigator, or the director, I should say, of this entire performance. You, who Mademoiselle Debenham so rightly called the strongest character among us. And there you have it. Does this second solution explain everything? Let us see. Mademoiselle Marceau, what was the real murder weapon?
Pues el cuchillo de carnicero.
But of course, a drama planned this carefully does not include the blood-stained stiletto with the fingerprints of some unknown. No, that is merely a prop, as were the 2 threatening letters. The burned note, of course, was a real threat. The conspirators most assuredly did not want this murder tied to the Armstrong kidnapping, and the true weapon, with no incriminating mark upon it, might never have been found if it had been thrown inches further.
Bloody steak knives aren't balanced properly for throwing. My hat's off to you, though, Miss Marceau. When I saw where it landed, I wasn't about to crawl out there and end up at the bottom of that ravine. Took some nerve doing what you did, and there's no denying it.
Hear, hear.
So, the improbable differences in the stab wounds is now explained. 2 so-called clues were dropped in the dead man's compartment. Mademoiselle?
Esta pregunta no la he entendido, pero bueno.
No, that isn't right. Think, Antoinette. You do not want to disappoint Monsieur Poirot yet again.
Vale, pues esto.
That isn't what Monsieur Poirot is looking for.
The pipe cleaner, incriminating Colonel Arbuthnot, who had one of the strongest alibis and whose connection to the Armstrong family was probably the hardest to prove. And the second clue found in the room, mademoiselle?
That isn't the correct item. I am
Vale. Esta.
The handkerchief, incriminating Princess Dragomirov, who by virtue of her frail physique and the alibi given by her maid and Michel was practically in an unassailable position. Then there was the clue found at the shepherd's hut with the incriminating fingerprints. Do you have it, mademoiselle?
El candado.
With Mateo's incriminating fingerprints on it.
Not precisely cricket, you know, Tonio, to incriminate an innocent man.
Cyrus could swear Matteo had not entered the Calais coach. Michel informed us the radio was in the baggage car, and I went to put it out of commission. I did not want to destroy the equipment. It must have taken him much saving to purchase. So I only smashed the telegraph key. Signorina, you are a miracle worker for sure. To get the radio working again. I know about these things. That was a stroke of a genius.
Stick to the point, Monsieur Foscarelli.
With great pleasure. The padlock was just hanging there. I found the snowshoes earlier, and then the shepherd's hut. I was supposed to find a good place for the uniform and the stiletto, and the hut was perfect. But I had to break the lock to enter. All I did was go and get the padlock on the radio crate. I didn't mean to point the finger at Matteo.
The other red herring was not a herring at all, but it was certainly red. Mademoiselle?
Pero si era roja. El kimono.
And then to put it in my valise was not a nice trick.
The kimono is mine, monsieur. And mademoiselle, I had no intention of trying to incriminate you. I had to put it someplace.
Oh,
And I thought it would be amusing if you found
no
it
son
there.
todas malas.
Ah, oui, you enjoy your little games, Countess. Mademoiselle Freebody, indeed. Well, Madame Arden?
I always fancied myself in comedy parts. Bravo, Mr. Poirot. Well done.
Applause from an actress of your stature is praise indeed, madame.
We were all at the house, a house filled with almost unendurable pain and sadness. The Perkinson brothers were dead, but Cassetti had got clean away. We decided then and there that the sentence of death that Cassetti had escaped would be carried out. Little did we know how many years would pass, how many false leads Mr. Hardman would track down before Cassetti would be found.
Whatever country my work took me to, no matter how tough the case, I always saved plenty of time to try and pick up the trail. But he kept on the move. Brazil, Mexico, most of Europe. Ratchet was only the last of a string of aliases.
Then Mr. Michel wrote to me. It was he who, quite by accident, had recognized Cassetti traveling aboard the Istanbul to Calais train. When we learned the man, now calling himself Ratchet, frequently traveled to the Middle East aboard the train, we knew we could have some control of the scene of our planned execution. It took months, but in time Ratchet hired both Hector and Masterman.
One of us would have been enough. Two were better.
Hector handled all of Ratchet's travel arrangements. With Michel's help, passage was booked on the same train he would be using to return from his latest excursion to the Orient. The rest you seem to know.
Oui, madame. Indeed, the rest Poirot knows.
But I don't understand. You've uncovered everything. We know we did it. How can there be another solution?
Simplicity itself. There is among you one who is not who he pretends to be.
Uno de ustedes no es quien pretende ser.
With the help of Mademoiselle Marceau, I will now present you with those clues which fit neither solution so far proposed, and present you with a truth that will surprise even you.